Wondering how you can become better at running your business? Entrepreneurship can be stressful. There's too much to do and not enough time. If you're isolated in your daily decisions, have no fear. Success and balance are possible. Welcome to the Small Business Answer Man podcast, where you master the art of running a successful business using practical advice from experts who want to help you succeed. Now, here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
Welcome. We're glad to have you back again for another great podcast. I told you in this fourth quarter, my goal was to find guests that would help you build on what you do now to take 2025 to make it your best year ever. And I found that guest again. I'm so excited to be able to share him with you. But the thing I want you to do is I want Quentin to share with us, what problem will you help our listeners solve today, Quentin?
I help people get clarity on things that matter most to them.
Great. This is going to be a great conversation. Quentin Hafner is with us. He's an international coach to ultra performers, licensed therapist, and a two-time best-selling author with nearly 2 decades of experience guiding high-performing individuals toward unparalleled success in both their personal and professional lives. Recognized for his unique blend of expertise, Quentin has dedicated over 25,000 hours to one-on-one coaching, working with elite clients such as professional athletes, mega church pastors, A-list celebrities, and billionaire entrepreneurs. So you are in for a treat today. Quentin, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Gary. Super excited to be with you and to have our conversation. Looking forward to it.
Well, I'm looking forward to this. As I told you, I've read your recent book. We're going to get into that some as we go along. But I thought a good place to start, if you didn't mind, Quentin, because you've coached a lot of people with 25,000 hours. That's a lot of sessions that you've done. But what do you think the greatest challenge you feel? And I'm going to go from the entrepreneurs, but you can do high performing people to really get that clarity so they go where they want in their life. And we're going to say in this area, if it's entrepreneurs, in their business also. What's some of those things that you see as their greatest challenge?
The thing that I see the most, specifically with entrepreneurs, even more so than high-performing people in general, is entrepreneurs. I could say this about myself too, because I'm an entrepreneur, is that we tend to move way too fast. And we are kind of, most of us anyway, are kind of like the ready, shoot, aim kind of people. And what I've noticed in my work with business owners is that the more we can really slow down, the more we can get really clear about what is really most important, where is it that we really want to go, and then carve out a path to get there. It creates, we're going to get there a lot faster, and it creates a lot less heartache along the way because there's going to be a lot less starts and stops, false starts. And, that's just kind of the nature of the beast with people that have kind of the entrepreneurial spirit. They like to move really fast. And if they could slow down even 20%, they would accomplish a whole lot more.
Well, this is so practical because we're in that month of December. As I said, we're trying to get them prepared for this next year. And this is a time you're going to take some pause. You're going to get a break with the holidays and the Christmas season and New Year's that's there. But I'm so glad you said that, Quentin, because it's time now to take that reflection on your business and your life and say, what do you need to do and how can you move forward? And some of us are stuck, let's be honest. Some of us are frustrated with our business. We're frustrated where we're at. Well, we all feel that. Quentin just wrote a book, and I'm going to plug it early because we're going to talk about this pretty in depth here, is Go Next Level. And I'm going to share with you, he talks quite a bit into the book, but we're going to try to get into it. We're not going to be able to give you everything, so you're going to have to go buy a copy of it. But the thing I love is you talk about 9 questions you need to answer to get absolute clarity on what matters most and fulfill everything you want in business and life. So let's discuss some of those. I don't have a specific question, but why don't you start out? What was your reason for writing the book? And then maybe share with us a couple of those questions that we should get these entrepreneurs thinking about if they take this time and slow down a little bit in this time to get themselves prepared for 2025?
Yeah, what a perfect timing. So glad we're talking about this. The book was the heart of the book was really twofold. It was written to myself because I was at a place in my own life where I also felt very stuck. And I kept noticing the pattern inside my clients where they were also stuck too. So I started just taking lots of notes about, what was going on with people and, my understanding of what it means to be stuck, why we get stuck, and ultimately how to get unstuck. So the book is written as kind of like a guide or like a blueprint. And, the promise of the book is that if you, work through the 9 questions, you will get unstuck. You will find clarity on what matters most to you, and it'll help you go to the next level. The next level could be applied to your personal life or your professional life. So it could be the next level inside your business, or it might even be just the next level of what your marriage looks like. The questions are universal, and so they apply to any part of our lives. In fact, I used the book as a test case on myself after I wrote it
Mm.
um, this past summer for my physical health. And so I used the 9 questions to take my physical health to the next level. And it's been fun because I'm in the absolute best shape that I've ever been in since I was 18 years old. So um, the method is proven, it works. And the starting place of the book, which is really cool because we're at, December, moving into January of 25. The starting place of the book is helping people get into a self-reflective state of mind. The first question of the book is, what do you want? Which is the hardest question for any of us to answer. And kind of going back to the idea about how entrepreneurs move really fast, that's kind of part of the problem because we tend to move really fast in certain directions without really understanding what it is that we want. And we can get really busy and we could try to be really efficient. But if we're busy and efficient going in the wrong direction, then that can create a lot of problems for our lives. And so I've seen that happen so much. I wanted to kind of really, hammer that point home by making it the starting place for the book. So what is it that we really want? So going into 25, what is it that you really want? What is it that you want your personal life to look like? What do you want your business to look like? What changes do you want to make? So it's very self-reflective, very dreamy, I say. It's an opportunity to, have some fun with it as a thought exercise, not take it super serious, but just play with it. If next year was the best year you've ever had in your entire life, what would that look like? What would be different? Um,
I
and then,
love that
yeah,
part, Quentin. I'm gonna jump in if you don't mind.
please
I
do.
love that part because I told you off air. I went through this book. I did each of the questions as well as the exercise you had, and they don't take long at all. But you have sometimes some questions in each chapter that kind of gets us thinking. And what I loved about it is I did it when I read that chapter. And that really made a difference because it's so fresh to you that it's easy to put it on paper. Because I know entrepreneurs and I'm somewhat this way, but not too bad. I can put things on paper. But this really was easy process to make it happen because by those questions you asked, you really got us into the flow of it. And that's where I want to really share with listeners. If you're listening, you're thinking, oh yeah, I want to do that, but oh, I don't have the time. Well, that's that slowdown that we've talked about, like you said, but also you put us into the flow of it. And I would tell you, if you read the chapter and then do those questions, they're going to come so much easier to you. And I think that's the key because we can't get our ideal life if we don't ever say, what do I want out of it? And it changes. I've told you off air, things have changed this summer for what I want this next year than what I wanted, what I thought throughout the year of 2024. And that's the whole key is being able to change that. So I just wanted to share that because I just think you made the flow so easy because I know there's the skeptic in the crowd saying, yeah, that sounds great, but I don't have time to do that. Well, this is if you don't have time, you're not going to change the things that you want in your life. And I loved your question too, because I think this is important too. So I'll let you share a little bit of with that if you want.
Yeah, and the other part too is that maybe a lot of people listening to this are guys. I don't know if most of your crowd is guys.
Sure.
Most of my crowd is guys, and what I found with guys is that most of the guys that I work with are just awesome men. Very very committed men, very loyal. Want to be good dads and business owners and husbands and all that is great, and I pride myself in all those things too. But a lot of guys are so good at doing things for other people that we stop asking the question for ourselves. What is it that I really want? What is it that really, you know, makes me happy? What is it that makes me feel joy or makes me fulfilled? And it's really an act of love. It's an act of love for ourselves to ask ourselves that question, because we can do both things. We can be great dads and great husbands and great leaders in business, and we can also care enough about ourselves to also want to make sure that we are maximizing our own life that God has given us as well. And so I think there's a special importance to kind of emphasize for guys here, that guys are, like, that we're just kind of not good at doing that. We don't take time to play or to rest or to have fun. And most guys don't have good friends and all these things. There's all these data points to prove this idea that guys don't think about themselves that much. Now, on one hand, that's wonderful because, the world needs men like that. On the other hand, you know, we don't want to get to the end of our lives and really think, man, like, what could I have done if I would have asked myself that question in 2025?
So important to really figure that out because time goes so fast. You and I both know that. I mean, we're probably similar in ages, and you look back and you say, whoa, that journey went really fast. So it fits for everyone. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we're going to come back and get a few more of the questions and really dig into this. So stay with us. Are you ready to optimize your small business? You need a plan. Take our free 10-minute business assessment and get a customized plan to grow your small business. This assessment evaluates the 6 critical areas of your business: leadership, marketing, sales, products, operations, and cash flow, so you can pinpoint where to focus for maximum impact. Whether you're looking to generate more revenue, increase profits, or just run your business more effectively, this plan will help you take the right steps. And the best part, it's powered by Business Made Simple, a trusted resource for small business success. Don't wait. Take the free business assessment today. The link is in the show notes. Get your custom plan and start optimizing your business right now. And now back to the show. Well, I just love what you say there is really figuring out. But I think one of the things that I thought was so interesting in question 2, you asked, why do you want it? So share with me your philosophies there of, I love what you say. It's kind of what breaks your heart and kind of what pisses you off.
Yeah. What breaks your heart and what pisses you off? Those are just, I love those questions because those questions, they tap into something deep inside of us that feels very powerful, very emotional. And the reason I put that as question number 2, so the flow of the book, question number 1 is, what do you want? Question number 2 is, why do you want it? And the reason that question is so important in the follow-up of the first question is that I remember I was working with a coach. This is maybe 5 years ago or 7 years ago or something like that. And it was my goal to break the 7-figure mark in my coaching business. And I remember telling him that, that was my big goal for the year, that I wanted to break $1 million. And I just remember him looking at me with this look of like, well, why do you want that? And I didn't have a good answer for it. I was kind of stunned that he asked the question, because I thought he would just say, oh, that's a great goal, let's tackle it. But I'm so glad that he asked me the question, because it really made me think, well, why do I really want it? And I came up with some, reasons why I wanted it. It was a stretch goal for me, and it was it's a kind of a quantifiable way to see that I was growing or stretching myself or raising my fees or whatever the case was. But I realized in the reflection of that question that I didn't really want it that bad. And it took him asking me, why do you want it, for me to realize that I didn't really want it that bad. What was a lot more important to me at the time was not really to make more money, but to impact more people, actually. And I was kind of merging two concepts together that needed to be kind of separated out. But had he not really asked me that question, I probably would have chased that financial goal, and it probably would have been to my detriment to do that. So the whole premise here is that when we get clear on what it is that we want, we have to also be really clear as to why we want it. Because as anybody listening to this knows, if we are going to chase some really big dreams and some really ambitious goals, it is hard, stinking work. And if we don't have that fire in our belly that compels us to chase that dream, like if it's not super duper powerful, then we won't go after the big goal. And that was the thing I learned with my trying to reach the 7-figure mark, was that it didn't have that passion. I thought, oh, that would be a good goal, and I could write it on the piece of paper, and I could see, it was a quote unquote smart goal, but it didn't carry that really powerful fire, like that was going to cause me to wake up every morning early and chase something. And when we're going after really cool things in our life, we need that fire in our belly, or else we won't ever get there.
Yeah, this is a critical component because it really comes down to, we've all heard it, the 5 whys. We got to peel the onion. We've got to get to the core, because otherwise what's happening is, we'll see it. And you've seen enough coaching clients, and I have too, that they'll tell us this goal that they have, but they have no burning desire, like you said, to achieve it. It's just they think it's the next step. If I've done 5 million in sales, well, this year maybe I need to do 6, or I need to do 7 million. It just comes up naturally because, well, it's got to be more. Instead, what is it in your business is needed at this time? And we're talking also your personal life. Maybe the desire is there. Your kids are young, and you need a closer relationship with the kids. Otherwise, you're going to lose them. Doesn't matter how much money. We've talked about that plenty on this podcast. Success is great, but significance is what you want. You want people that, are attached to you, because I just spent this last weekend with my son and his new bride, and they just got married. And the relationship I have with my son becomes so important. But if I didn't build that sooner than now, I would lose him. So we've got to build that over time. So I think it's so important that you really set up that why, Quentin. I really loved how you did that. And then I think this next one, we're going to kind of follow, and we won't get through them all. But number 3, I think this is so important because I know a lot of entrepreneurs fall into this. And it's,
Mm.
what do you need to say yes to? Becoming the next level risk taker. And this is a little bit different. It's not always about, we just talked about it. It doesn't mean always you have to grow your business, but how many of us as business owners and entrepreneurs, we're in comfort mode? We're pretty satisfied. We're pretty happy where we're at. But the problem is, we don't sit there very well at all. We create problems for ourselves actually when we get here. So I'm just curious what you would say there on, what do you need to say yes to, and kind of what did you mean that becoming that next level risk taker that they need to do?
Yeah, yeah. So I like this question a lot too. So I'm glad we're talking about this one. So the premise of the book is that we're stuck. We've kind of mentioned that we kind of get stuck on these plateaus in life. And what I've also realized is that for us to get unstuck from those plateaus, and again, this can be applied to your any part of your life, personal life, your physical health, your relationships, growing your business. We have to get out of the comfort zone, and we have to stretch ourselves with taking risks. And the real kind of the twist on it that I write about in the book is that it's not the kind of risk that people typically think of when we think of risk taking. So most people, when we talk about risk taking, they think of, investing money in something that's going to grow a little bit more, or, acquiring some business, or, just doing something. But what I've realized in the work that I've done is that risk taking for entrepreneurs is really about conquering the inner fears that we all carry that keep us stuck on the plateau. And the fears, it's all like mindset stuff, the fear of, looking foolish, the fear of being embarrassed, the fear of being criticized for the risk that you take. So what happens is that, like you said, entrepreneurs get it we get on this, like, these plateaus that feel comfortable. Paradoxically, they feel comfortable, but it also feels like we're dying on the vine on these plateaus too. So,
Yes.
but in order for us to get off the plateau, we have to do something different. But we don't want to do something different because we don't want to put ourselves out there. And so we kind of play it cool, we play it safe, and guys are, really bad at this too. We don't want to rock the boat too much. We don't want to look too vulnerable. And that keeps us really stuck. And so that chapter, or that kind of process, that part of the book, that part of the process, is really about looking inward and saying, hey, you know, what are those fears that you have? What are those things that you're worried about? What the world is going to say about you? Those inner dialogues, those inner fears, those unhealthy mindsets that are keeping you stuck on the plateau.
Yeah, I love that. And that's so important to think about. And you are right. For guys, we have a hard time. Maybe it's the communication and the change you've got to make with your significant other. Because if you don't make that change this next year, you're going to lose that opportunity of that marriage. And then if you do have children, just think what they're going to grow up to. So you have to decide what that is. But I think it's such an important question to ask. Well, Quentin, I knew this was going to happen, that we're not going to be able to get through them all. But if you don't mind, I'm going to kind of do a rapid fire. I'll say the question, you give me a couple lines of what you think, and we'll at least share them in there, because they're still going to have to go buy the book because the exercises are in there. But I think it would give them a little bit thinking about. So, question number 4 is, what do you need to say no to?
Okay, so that's just all about eliminating everything and anything that is keeping you from going to the next level. It can include people, places, distractions, addictions, etc.
Number 5, how are you going to save the world?
This is getting into our mission. Okay, God has bestowed in all of us a very unique missional endeavor that we need to go out into the world, and we need to help people. And we realize that our pursuit of going to the next level is always very closely attached to this idea of getting attached to our mission in life.
Yeah, great one there. Number 6, who is going with you?
So most entrepreneurs are incredibly isolated. And so this chapter is all about developing what I call a life team. It's the support we need to get off the plateau, because we will never get off the plateau in isolation and by ourselves.
Such an important one. Number 7, who do you think you are?
This chapter is all about developing and cultivating the right mindset and the right kind of inner thinking, inner dialogue, inner thought processes, because we can't get off the plateau if we don't truly believe we're capable of getting off the plateau. So it's really about looking at, managing our limiting beliefs and our mindsets.
Yeah, great setup. And number 8 is, what is the plan?
What is the plan? That chapter is all about taking everything that we've learned so far, starting in a very dreamy phase of chapter 1. What do you want? And now we're kind of distilling it down into some very practical goals. I write a lot in that chapter about how I'm not a big fan of SMART goals. I think there's a better goal setting method to help people get off the plateau. So you got to check out chapter 8 if you want to see what that's all about.
Right. And number 9, how are you going to get there?
And this is the final chapter of the book, and it's distilling it down even further into habits. So we go from dreaming into the goals, Now we're looking at what are the most important daily habits that we need to practice day in and day out in order for us to get unstuck from the plateau.
I'm so glad you included that because so many times I think people they'll end on number 8, what's the plan, the goals, but if you don't have the habits and the disciplines that sets that up, you'll never reach that. You talked about earlier your exercise, that you wanted to get in that greatest health ever. Well, that created some daily habits that you had to create to be able to make that happen. And I think that's so important. So excited that you shared that because I think that's it. That sometimes is the one that stops people. They'll get excited about goals, but then they don't think about what habits do I have to create to make that happen. And that
Mm.
becomes a real, I think, something that draws them back and really stops them early into the progress.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, there's all sorts of cliches out there, but, it's like people have talked about, the most ambitious things in the world were accomplished by somebody just choosing to do the same thing over and over and over again, day in and day out. And then before you know it, here we are.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I'm a fan. I love the book. I'm going to plug it again. Go next level. Please check it out. 9 questions you need to answer to get absolutely clarity on what matters most and fulfill everything you want in business and life. And the nice thing is, it's really truly allows you to work through it as you go. And that would be my suggestion as the questions come up, take the pause, answer the questions, and then really dig into each chapter because you're really in that mindset because he sets the chapters up so well. And I told you that earlier, Quentin, and I'm not just saying it because you're on the podcast, but this is somebody that's went through it and felt it, and you made it an easy process. Because I'll be honest, I know there's people sitting in the audience saying they're listening to this, but saying, yeah, but that's going to take some work. It's going to take some work because you got to read the book, but then you do the work that's with the questions that's there, you're going to have a plan in place, and it's really going to set you on a level that you want to be able to go that next level. So please check out his book. His website is quentinhafner.com. We'll have that in show notes so you can access that. And also, I think you're going to give them a free download that they can get on the website. Is that correct? Can you give us some information about that? 20 questions that they can answer to kind of help them?
Yeah, so it's a great little PDF I put together. It's attached to the book. It's 20 questions. It's 20 questions you need to answer to start architecting your ideal life. And just a very simple thought exercise. Start writing out these 20 questions. And it's super fun, super creative. It's not burdening, I promise. It's a great exercise.
Yeah. So check that out, please. We'll have that all in show notes for you to be able to access and get there. He's on LinkedIn, also Instagram. So please check him out. This is one of those things. You're sitting there as an entrepreneur. The reason we played this now is it's December. You're going to have some time for a break. As entrepreneurs and business owners, as Quentin said in the very beginning, if we don't slow down, we're never going to achieve what we want. It's great early. We was that ready, shoot, aim. We're that fighter. We're that person that goes in there and tackles everything. Let 2025 instead be the year that you prepare yourself to really start to achieve what you want. Because the problem is, if you do that year after year, you're going to get burnt out or you're going to get stuck or you're going to be frustrated. And then you're going to think, oh, I need to sell my business. Maybe it's not about selling your business. Maybe you need an operations person that helps you run the business. Maybe you need a virtual assistant. I don't know what it is, but find out what you need and what you want in your business to make your business what you said, Quentin, that we enjoy it, that it's fun on the journey instead of saying this thing is a drag, this is frustrating, because you're still going to have to find something else. Because if you're an entrepreneur, you're not going to sell your business and go sit on a beach. You'll do that about 6 months and you'll be bored stiff and you'll be saying, I've got to do something else now. So why not take your business and build it to where you want? So, and also we believe in your personal life too. Quentin, I just can't thank you enough for joining us today. I do have one more question I have to ask you. I ask every guest this, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, but what would be your best advice you would give the entrepreneurs?
Mm. Oh man. Is this different from the first question you asked me?
You can do it earlier if you want.
um, Can I talk about having fun?
Sure.
Okay, so my best advice for entrepreneurs is to, man, make sure you're having fun along the way. Um, it's not supposed to be a grind. It's not supposed to be something that we're slogging through. If we're not enjoying the ride, then something is wrong, and we need to call time out and take stock of everything.
Great advice. It really is, because it goes by so fast, as we all know. Remember, check out the book, Go Next Level. Quentin, thank you so much for joining us today. This is going to be a great podcast for our listeners.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.
Listeners, I'm going to just leave you with one action item. Always leave you with one. Go buy the book. But don't let it sit on the shelf. Don't let it sit there. I've already bought it from my mastermind group. My thing that I'll do when I see them next week in our mastermind session is who's getting into it. Plus, they're going to get a copy of this, of course, podcast to be able to listen to it, get them start to think about it. But let's go through it. We've got this time now. We get a little bit of break. Hopefully, you're taking a break for the Christmas season and you're going to get some time off. Well, do something for yourself. All it does is take a couple hours a day to allow you to really refresh to get there. There's 9 questions. I think there's 9 chapters, maybe 10. So you can get through the book in a short amount of time. So I hope you do that. Come back next week and we'll have another great podcast for you. And let's make 2025 your best year yet. Make it a great day.
That's all the time we have for this week. To continue your journey, head over to smallbusinessanswerman.biz to access the tools and resources mentioned in today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with someone who would benefit from listening. That's smallbusinessanswerman.biz. Until next time, remember, when you find the right solutions, your business grows and you get your time back.